Tonight, a First Nation in Alberta releases the results of ground-penetrating radar at the former St. Brunos residential school.
To be able to bring a brand to life that does have this tone of representation, it's really been about who we are from the beginning.
Plus, Indigenous creators are taking TikTok by storm to promote culture and identity.
We don't want to do something that's a one-off and you don't hear from us again. We're here to stay as an organization. Indigenous basketball has been here for decades and centuries.
And the Vancouver Bandits basketball team debuts new uniforms with special significance. Good evening, Tansei Anin. Welcome to APTN National News. I'm Daryl Stranger. A ground-penetrating radar report has been released for the St. Brunos Indian Residential School. The boarding school was run by Roman Catholic missionaries from 1913 to 1969 in Joussard, Alberta. The report was conducted by the Institute of Prairie and Indigenous Archaeology for Sucker Creek First Nation, Driftpile Cree Nation, and the Lesser Slave Lake Indian Regional Council. The findings were presented to roughly 400 people during a gathering on the weekend. The report found 88 potential unmarked graves. They were broken down into 3 categories, including 61 possible graves, 13 probable graves, and 14 likely graves. The majority of the potential unmarked graves were located within or just outside of the Joussard Community Cemetery. The National Center for Truth and Reconciliation lists 18 students as having died at the school. The report says the results from Phase 1 suggest that additional research should be undertaken to identify other possible burial areas associated with Joussard IRS. As air quality warnings and wildfires rage across Canada in what is being called the worst season on record, the wildfire near Fort Albany, Ontario is being held off by Ontario Fire Services, but hundreds of people are still out of their home in the area. More than 500 people have been evacuated from the Fly-In First Nation near the northern Ontario coast of James Bay. They are being housed at hotels in the nearby communities of Kapuskasing and Valrita. A planned evacuation of Kashechewan, where smoke was a threat to elders and children, has been put on hold because the wind shifted direction on Sunday. Ontario's Ministry of Forestry and Natural Resources said in an update it is making good progress on the fires. Federal Justice Minister David Lametti is ordering a new trial for 2 Indigenous men from Manitoba who were convicted of murder by an all-white jury nearly 50 years ago. Brian Anderson and Alan Woodhouse were sentenced to life in prison for killing Ting Fong Chan, who was working at a Winnipeg restaurant when he was stabbed in 1973. Both have been on parole since the late 80s and early 90s. Innocence Canada, an organization which supported the convictions being quashed, says the 2 Indigenous men were the victims of systemic racism. Jerome Kennedy, a lawyer for the 2 men, says they hope the Crown now decides not to pursue a new trial. The Mohawk community of Gnuwapit's first ever Pride Parade was well attended on Saturday, marking a new chapter in the community's acceptance of 2SL LGBTQ+ people. Amelia Fournier has more.
After the rain came this rainbow. Hundreds of people marched along Old Malone Highway, with more cheering them on from the sidelines during Gnuwapit's first ever Pride Parade.
Look at all the color! Look at all the energy! Love is love. All love is beautiful love, and we need to recognize and support it.
The banner leading up front says all our love is at the same level in Ganyageha.
2023, we shouldn't be afraid. We shouldn't be hiding. I'm just so happy with the turnout, the number of people that are here showing support and love for the LGBT community here in Gnuwapit. It's about time.
Lanny Lazar and his wife Lacey helped organize the parade and spent the week leading up to it building this giant unicorn float with volunteers. Both identify as bisexual, something Lanny wasn't comfortable sharing until recently.
I came up in a time in this community when it wasn't all right to be who you are and who you want to be and stuff like that. And I just think that it's time for this community to open up their minds and be okay with it. Just come out and meet the people and see, like, these are people that are in our community. It's our community, all of us, not two separate entities. So
Lacey says that not everyone in the community accepts 2S LGBTQ plus people, but visibility is key.
I know that the church had a big influence here, and it resonates really strongly with some people. So I think, we're just doing our best to create those bridges and bridge some gaps and just make people more aware.
Despite that, Lacey said the experience organizing the parade was overwhelmingly positive.
People are really coming together and just showing love for their people, and it's a pretty cool thing.
Including local government reps.
It's a first here, and I think it's important, for inclusion, for people to feel, that they're welcome. It's just, we're talking about human beings.
As well as a federal one.
The federal government has been legislating love since it's existed, and the impacts of that is obviously, particularly on the LGBTQ community and Two-Spirit community, and Indigenous community. So, we all know what that's created. It's created some inequality, and just happy to stand here and be proud of what this community is doing.
Because in the end,
it's really important for people to see that it's out there and see that it's supported, and especially for the youth that, they might not feel, they might feel very alone. So it's important for them to know that, they're not alone.
All creation is sacred. Everyone is made different for a reason, right? And we should love every people in our communities.
Happy Pride!
Emilia Fournier, APTN National News, Gnuwapit, Quebec.
All right, we have to put a pause on the news for just a moment. Still plenty more great news still to come, such as TikTok is celebrating Indigenous History Month with a look at its top creators.
I feel like a lot of people are, under the impression that Indigenous people are of the past, when in reality, we're still very much alive today.
Welcome back to APTN National News. For all of June, TikTok Canada celebrated National Indigenous History Month by putting a spotlight on some of its top Indigenous content creators. Tamara Pimentel has more.
Since the creation of TikTok, Indigenous youth have been using the platform to share their stories and culture. TikTok is recognizing those making an impact on and off social media with its list of Indigenous TikTok visionary voices. 9 youth, creators, industry disruptors, and small business owners are showcased. Korean Two-Spirit fashion designer Scott Wabino made the small business owner list. They own the genderless streetwear brand Wabino and use their platform to advocate for Indigenous LGBTQ2S plus youth.
For the longest time, we've just never been looked towards, as people, we've been, I feel like a lot of people are, under the impression that Indigenous people are of the past, when in reality, we're still very much alive today.
Jen Harper is an industry disruptor with her brand Cheekbone Beauty. Her makeup products recently made it into 52 Sephora store locations across the country.
To be able to bring a brand to life that does have this tone of representation. It's really been about who we are from the beginning.
This is the first list of Indigenous visionary voices for TikTok. Wabano and Harper say it's a true step toward reconciliation.
There's so many incredible creators, and they've developed programming for Indigenous creators. I just love watching what they're doing for our community, and I think it's really like a solid effort for sure.
I think it's really important to just connect with our community and remind them of our power.
Tamara Pimentel, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
The hit TV show, Bears Lair, gives Indigenous entrepreneurs a chance to pitch their business ideas to a panel of judges. At stake, a chance to win funding to get their ideas off the ground. Bears Lair has just been given the green light to shoot a second season for APTN. Here is our Tina House, who caught up with the executive producer in Vancouver.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be joined by the executive producer, host, creator of Bears Lair, Gina Jackson. Gina, great to see you today.
Oh, thank you, Tina. Great to be here.
So tell me the latest update on this smash hit that appeared on APTN last season.
We are really excited to announce season 2. The applications were open today. Last year we had a very small pocket of time. Nobody knew who we were. And now we have an entrepreneur show where we have, last year we had 120 applications come in a small 2-week period. And this year we've had over 9,000 Indigenous entrepreneurs inquire about how to apply. So we are thrilled and excited that the news has got out, that APTN's done such a great job of putting our show out, and the magic of Indigenous entrepreneurism.
Gina, that's absolutely incredible. We were on set with you last season. The set was gorgeous. Your amazing brother, the talented Shane Jackson, and his creation. The judges you had, I mean, it was all magical. Really, it was. And then to see the winner at the end of the season was just the icing on top of the cake. Tell me about this season and what we can expect.
This year we can expect to have it filmed in Vancouver. We are only taking 1,800 entrepreneurs this year. What we're looking for is geographic diversity, so representation hopefully from every province in Canada. We're looking for unique products or services, and products and services, companies that give back to community, that have a social impact to their business. So either employment and training for community members, for giving back to youth and elders, or creating a good or service that improves Indigenous lives.
Tell me about the CAMs that you've also been facilitating and running for kids to encourage entrepreneurship.
Subsidiary to the show, we are educating, elevating, and inspiring kids 11 to 18 years old all over Canada. We are teaching them a 3-day camp on Indigenous fundamentals, on target market and choosing a business, and projections and budgeting. But most importantly, what our camps teach kids is social confidence, presentation skills, eye contact, negotiations, working like a team, and working as a group and taking constructive comments and giving constructive comments authentically. But really what it does is it brings the community together, and it's this nice package of this uplifting, what we call co-opetition, which is really uplifting each other in community.
Amazing. Gina, how can entrepreneurs get involved, and how can they submit to the show?
We are so excited to have a diversity of entrepreneurs from all over Canada. So if you're interested in applying for the show, please go to our website, bearslairtv.com, and there's a portal there where you can apply.
Fantastic. Gina, congratulations and continued success to you, my friend. Thank you for joining us today. Always good to see you.
Nice to see you.
Thank you. Back to you in studio.
The Canadian Elite Basketball League may only be in its 5th year of existence, but all signs show that the league is here to stay. One team is taking their opportunity to make an impact within the Indigenous community, both on and off the court.
Telegraph pass into Shitu, and Georgie B said no. He's going to try to go coast to coast again, and say it ain't so, Georgie B.
The farthest western-based team in Canada's professional basketball league, the Vancouver Bandits, have unveiled new uniforms that will not just be a one-off. Kwantlen First Nation artist Jeff Dixon designed the uniforms and the matching shorts, which debuted on Sunday against the Calgary Surge.
The cedar trees, again, being very much a symbol of Indigenous communities and how we are connected to the land and the responsibilities we have to be stewards of that land. And then incorporating things like some weaving, which is done with cedar strip, or to have the sapling represented on the back of the jersey. So we have a fully developed or mature cedar tree protecting or creating an umbrella for the saplings. And seeing that the Bandits logo, which is the fox, again, representing that in a way that is more aligned with traditional Coast Salish artwork.
The orange jersey aligns the Bandits' original color with Orange Shirt Day and the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation.
Growing and keeping this conversation going, I think that's that whole educational piece that as a full-time teacher, I know that the impact that what I have goes well beyond what happens within my classroom. And I know my impact here will go beyond a basketball game that's going to be played on Sunday.
To learn more about Indigenous culture and the significance of the uniform's design, players, staff, and executive members of the Bandits visited Kwantlen First Nation.
We thought this was extremely important because we want to be a provincial team and not just a local team.
Unlike most one-night specialty jerseys, these ones will be permanent.
We don't want to do something that's a one-off and you don't hear from us again. We're here to stay as an organization. Indigenous basketball has been here for decades and centuries, if you will, and it's something where going forward, we want kids to recognize something that they could be proud of and that we could be proud of as well in the community.
Part of the proceeds from selling the jerseys will be donated to the Lower Fraser Valley Aboriginal Society. They provide personal and family support programs for their community. Well, those jerseys are really nice. I might need to see if I can get one of those myself. All right, it's time to step away one final time. Our photo of the day and weather are next, plus a feature report on digging roots, just one of the many acts from last week's Indigenous Day Live.
We're inspired by the land, we're inspired by our people, we're inspired by how amazing life is.
Welcome back. It's time now for our photo of the day. Charmaine Larson sent in this photo of the teepees located at the Bannock Bed Inn, located at Sucker Creek First Nation in Alberta. Sure looks comfy and cozy there. Thanks, Charmaine, for that. We want your pictures. Be sure to send them to share@aptn.ca for the chance to be our next photo of the day. All right, now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting on the east coast, 14 in rain in St. John's and 19 in showers in Halifax. Mix of sun and cloud and 25 in Cartwright and 25 in Happy Valley Goose Bay. 25 degrees in Saguenay and 22 in St. Jovite. 24 in Toronto and 18 in North Bay. 22 degrees in showers in Wawa and 27 in Sioux Lookout. 22 in Clear in Churchill and some showers in 23 in Norway House. 26 in Barons River and rain in 28 in Winnipeg. More showers in 29 in Regina and 25 in North Battleford. 21 degrees in Buffalo Narrows and clear in 26 in Stony Rapids. As we move west, more showers in 25 in Fort Chippewa and 27 in showers in Peace River. Rain in 26 in Edmonton and rain in 24 in Calgary. 22 degrees in Vancouver and clear in 26 in Campbell River. 27 degrees in Smithers and 28 in Fort Nelson. 20 degrees in Beaver Creek and 22 in Mayo. 29 degrees and some showers in Wrigley and 30 degrees in Trout Lake. 20 degrees in Fort McPherson and 22 in Colville Lake. Cleared 14 in Cambridge Bay and 14 in Baker Lake. 8 degrees in Arctic Bay and 5 degrees in Kinghite. Well, after more than a century in Australia, Migma regalia dating back to the 1800s has finally returned to the Millbrook First Nation in Nova Scotia. CTV's Mike Lamb was there for the grand unveiling.
We picked National Indigenous Peoples Day for a reason, because it's also a celebration of our history and our culture. When we knew this regalia was coming back, we selected this day to celebrate the regalia being back, not only in our community but our territory, for all Indigenous people and non-Indigenous people to enjoy, to embrace, to welcome back, and to see the intricacy and the artwork that has been in this piece. It's been gone for over 160 years, and it's good to see it back in our community, in our territory, for everyone to enjoy.
This is the very first International Repatriation in Nova Scotia. So applying and talking to the government, it was very first for them too. Records are telling me that it was made in the early 1840s. It has its robe, it has a pipe, moccasins, it has a pouch. This is something that our men would wear during celebrations. I am so honored to have it here. It's for our people, and to have it here just allows our people to connect, to understand, and maybe want to continue on, learning.
Right now I'm feeling a little overwhelmed, a little emotional. Like, we've only been able to see pictures and not even know where they were. And now it's like we're getting to see it like physically. And just to see the pipe here, it's just, I can't even put in words.
The young people, when I had watched them at the case with the regalia, it was a proud moment for me. Look at our youth. They're proud of who they are. And to see something like this, I know it's going to allow them to continue to be proud and continue to believe in themselves. That's what it means to me.
APTN Indigenous Day Live saw so many wonderful performances throughout the day. One of those performances was done by Juno-winning artist Digging Roots. Here's a closer look at the duo.
I think it's awesome that we have a stage to celebrate who we are. I think there's a lot of musicians today that are singing about where we come from and who we are, considering that, our language and our drums were taken away and it was illegal at a certain point in time, that now we have this renaissance of music where we're able to express ourselves and to talk about who we are.
Disappear, man, it's hard living around here.
We're inspired by the land, we're inspired by our people, we're inspired by how amazing life is. We get to travel around and eat amazing food and just do really cool things. And I think that turns into music. But we sing about love and we sing about how radical and amazing life is, but we also sing about the hard stuff too. We recently got this humanitarian award from the Slate family, and what we're doing is we're going to purchase as many ground penetrating machines as possible. It's these little radar machines that survey the earth, because we want to make them available free of charge to any First Nation community that wants to find our ancestors wherever those residential schools were in their territory. We have to be identified by blood quantum, and essentially somebody else is telling us who we are, and we really need to stand up and we need to start taking care of our own identity and not having a colonizer do that. And I really see music as one of the powerful tools and ways of bringing people together and having these kinds of open conversations so that we're moving forward in a good way.
Well, it's always great seeing them perform, and certainly can't wait to see what they have in store next. That is all we have for you on this Monday edition of APTN National News. As always, more information on any of our stories tonight can be found on aptnnews.ca. For all of us here, thank you so much for joining us. Miigwech, Kinanaskmatin, and have a great night.